My name is Margaret. I'm 67 years old, and I've lived alone for a long time now. I have a small house in a quiet town in Texas, the kind of place where the nights are darker, the air is stiller, and time seems to move slower. My husband passed away 8 years ago. Since then, I've gotten used to the silence. Some nights it comforts me. Other nights, it feels heavy, like it's pressing against my chest. That night, something about the silence felt different. It wasn't just quiet, it was deep. Almost like the world around me had gone still for a reason I couldn't understand. I was in bed, trying to fall asleep. The wind outside had stopped. No cars, no dogs barking, not even the hum of the refrigerator. Just silence. I pulled the blanket over my shoulders and reached for my rosary. It's something I do every night, ever since I was a little girl. Holding it in my hand gives me peace. That night, I held it tighter than usual. Before I go on, may I ask you something? Where are you watching from? Which city and country? I'd love to know. And if this story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is a place for people like you, for those who still believe in miracles, or maybe just need a little more faith when the night gets dark. I created this channel so you would never feel alone. Now, let me tell you what happened. I had just closed my eyes when I felt it, a strange warmth in the room. It wasn't from the blanket, and it wasn't from the heater. It was a gentle warmth that seemed to come from nowhere, and yet it was everywhere. I opened my eyes. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. The air around me had changed. It felt thick, soft, and alive, like the room was breathing with me. I couldn't explain it. I didn't feel afraid, but I didn't feel calm either. I felt alert, as if something sacred was standing right at the edge of my senses. I turned my head slightly and looked toward the corner of the room. And that's when I saw it. A faint light. Not like the light from a lamp or a streetlight. This one glowed with softness. It had no clear source, no bulb or flame. It simply appeared. Gentle, pure, and almost golden. I blinked several times, wondering if it was my imagination or some reflection I couldn't explain, but it didn't go away. In fact, the glow grew stronger, still soft, but unmistakable now. It felt warm, like love had taken the form of light. I tried to sit up in bed, but my body felt very still, like something was telling me not to move. I didn't hear a sound, not even my own heartbeat. The room was absolutely silent, and then everything changed. The light in the corner of the room continued to glow softly, growing brighter with each passing moment. It wasn't harsh or blinding. Instead, it was warm and comforting, like the gentle glow of a candle in a dark church. I lay still in my bed, my eyes fixed on the light, unable to look away or move. The air around me felt charged, as if something holy had entered the room. My heart pounded loudly in my chest, but I was not afraid. Somehow I knew this was something beyond the ordinary. I tried to speak, but no words came out. My throat felt dry and tight, as if I was holding back tears or a secret too deep to share. The silence was complete, and in that silence, the light began to change. It shifted slowly, taking a shape that I could barely understand. At first, it was just a glow, but then it stretched upward and curved gently, like wings opening wide. My breath caught in my throat. Could it be? Was this the presence I had only heard about in prayers and stories? The light grew more defined, and I could feel a presence beside me. It was as if someone had sat down quietly on the edge of my bed, but I could not see them clearly. The warmth I felt before now seemed to come from this presence, filling the room with calm and peace. I reached out with my hand, trembling, but it passed through nothing. I was alone in the room, and yet I was not. The presence was real, but invisible. Suddenly, I heard a soft whisper, almost too quiet to catch. The voice was gentle and kind, and it spoke my name, Margaret. My whole body shivered at the sound. It was as if the whisper reached inside my soul and touched something I had forgotten. The voice was not frightening. It was full of love and understanding, as if whoever spoke knew every pain I had carried for so long. I wanted to respond, to ask questions, to beg for answers, but my voice was caught somewhere deep inside me. The whisper came again, repeating my name, steady and sure. I felt tears streaming down my face, but I could not move. The presence stayed with me, silent and still, as if waiting for me to understand. Then, The light began to slowly fade, and the room returned to its usual darkness. The warmth left the air, and the silence was no longer heavy but peaceful. I closed my eyes tightly, feeling a mixture of fear and comfort. I knew something had happened that night, something that changed me forever. I did not know why the angel had come, or what message I was meant to receive, but I felt the promise of hope and faith renewed deep inside me. When I finally drifted off to sleep, it was with a heart lighter than it had been in years. I would never forget the glow, the whisper, and the feeling that I was not alone. And though I didn't yet understand the meaning, I knew my life was about to change. The next morning, I woke slowly, my mind still heavy with the memory of the night before. The sun had not yet risen, and the room was filled with a soft, pale light that made everything seem calm and gentle. I lay in bed for a moment, trying to understand what I had experienced. Was it a dream, or something more? The feeling of warmth and peace was still with me, as if the presence I had sensed had stayed close, even as the world around me woke up. I got out of bed carefully, feeling a strange new lightness in my steps. The house was quiet, but it no longer felt empty. I moved to the window and looked outside. The trees swayed gently in the morning breeze, and the sky was a soft blue, clear and bright. I thought about the light I had seen, the whisper I had heard. What did it mean? Why had the angel come to me? I felt a mix of fear and hope, a strange combination that I could not explain. As I walked through my small home, I noticed little things that seemed different. A vase that had been empty was now filled with fresh flowers. A clock that had stopped ticking for weeks suddenly began to tick again. These small signs made me wonder if the angel's visit was more than just a vision. Maybe it was a message, a sign that life was still full of miracles, even when we least expect them. Throughout the day, I found myself drawn to my prayer corner. I sat there for long moments, speaking softly to God, asking for guidance and understanding. I felt closer to my faith than I had in years. I thought about my husband and the years we had shared. Maybe he had sent the angel to remind me that I was never truly alone. That thought brought tears to my eyes, but they were tears of comfort, not sorrow. In the afternoon, I decided to take a walk outside. The air was fresh and the sun warmed my face. As I walked down the familiar path near my home, I noticed a small bird perched on a branch. It seemed to watch me with calm eyes, as if it knew my secret. I smiled quietly, feeling that the world was different now, full of signs and messages just waiting to be noticed. That evening, as I prepared for bed, the memory of the angel's whisper returned. I felt grateful for the experience, even though I still did not fully understand it. I prayed for the strength to carry the message I had received, whatever it might be. And as I closed my eyes, I whispered a quiet thank you for the light that had come into my life when I needed it most. That night, I lay awake longer than usual, my mind swirling with thoughts I could barely grasp. The memory of the angel's whisper echoed softly in my ears, a gentle sound that felt both distant and near. I found myself wondering what the voice wanted to tell me, what message lay hidden in that simple calling of my name. The room was dark, but it no longer felt empty. Instead, it held a quiet presence, as if the very air around me carried a secret waiting to be revealed. I reached over to my nightstand and touched the rosary beads, feeling their cool smoothness under my fingers. Holding them gave me comfort, but also made me realize how much I had been holding back my own faith. For years since my husband passed, I had drifted away from prayer and hope. But now, something was pulling me back. A gentle force, stronger than fear or doubt. As I lay there, I thought about the whisper once more. It was not just a sound. It was a call to listen, to open my heart, and to believe again. The voice had no hurry, no demand, only patience and love. Suddenly, I heard it again, soft and clear. Margaret. The same calm, tender tone that seemed to come from just beside me. I opened my eyes but saw only shadows dancing on the walls. I felt tears fill my eyes, a mixture of sadness and hope that overwhelmed me. I whispered back, though my voice was barely audible. Yes? I didn't expect an answer, but I wanted to show that I was listening. The room seemed to breathe with me, and for a moment, I felt a warmth spreading through my chest. It was like the weight I had carried for so long was beginning to lift. I thought about the years of loneliness, the nights spent wondering if I was forgotten, but now I felt remembered, seen by something greater than myself. The whisper came one last time, softer than before, almost like a promise. You are not alone. In that moment, I knew that whatever I was facing, I would not face it by myself. A deep peace settled over me, and I finally allowed myself to rest. The angel's presence stayed with me, unseen, but deeply felt. And though I could not explain what had happened, I knew my life was forever changed. After that night, the presence I felt seemed to grow stronger. It was not something I could see, but I could feel it everywhere. In the quiet moments of the day, in the soft breeze that brushed against my skin, and even in the silence of my prayers. It was as if the angel was no longer just a visitor in the night, but had become a part of my daily life. One afternoon, while sitting by the window, I closed my eyes and let my thoughts drift. Suddenly, images began to fill my mind. Pictures of people I had known, places I had been, and moments I had forgotten. These images were clear and vivid, almost like memories coming back to life. I saw faces of old friends and family members, some smiling and others sad, but all important in ways I had never fully understood before. Along with the images, feelings rose inside me: love, forgiveness, and peace. It was as if the angel was showing me a path, one that I needed to follow. The presence seemed to communicate without words, sharing a message of healing and hope. I realized that I had been carrying pain for many years, pain that I hadn't fully faced. The angel's visit was not just a comfort. It was a call to heal and to forgive, not just others, but myself. That day, I began to understand that this was more than a simple encounter. It was a turning point. I started to feel a new strength growing inside me, a lightness in my spirit that had been missing for so long. Over the next few weeks, the feelings deepened. I would wake in the morning with a calm heart, ready to face the day. Even on difficult days, the sense of peace remained. I knew I was not alone. The angel's presence was a reminder of something greater than the pain and loss I had known. It was a reminder of love that never ends. One evening, I sat quietly in my prayer corner, the rosary in my hands. I whispered a prayer of thanks for the guidance and comfort I had received. I asked for the courage to continue on this path of healing and to share the message of hope with others who might be struggling. As I finished my prayer, I felt a gentle warmth around me, like a soft embrace. I knew then that the angel was near, watching over me and guiding me still. This experience has changed the way I see the world and myself. It has given me a reason to believe again, to trust in the unseen, and to open my heart to the miracles that happen every day. I don't know why the angel came to me or what the future holds, but I do know that I am forever grateful for that night, the light, and the whisper of my name. After many nights filled with quiet prayers and deep reflection, something extraordinary happened. One evening, as I sat in my favorite chair by the window, I felt a sudden shift in the air. The room seemed to glow softly, just like that night when the angel first appeared. But this time, the light was stronger, brighter, and it filled every corner of the room. I closed my eyes and felt myself being lifted, not physically, but in spirit. It was as if I was being carried away to a place beyond this world. I saw a vast light, pure and blinding in its beauty. It was not harsh, but gentle and warm, like the embrace of endless love. In that light, I felt a presence greater than anything I had ever known. It was the presence of God. I saw visions of my past, moments I had forgotten or misunderstood. Faces of loved ones appeared, smiling and forgiving. I felt their love surround me like a soft blanket. It was as if all the pain and sorrow I had carried for so long were being lifted away. The light showed me truths that my heart had been too afraid to accept before. I understood now that forgiveness was the key to peace. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving myself. The presence filled me with a deep sense of calm and joy. I wanted to stay in that place forever, but I knew my journey was not yet over. Slowly, I felt myself returning to my room, to my small bed where I had first seen the light. The room was quiet and dark again, but I was different. I felt lighter, free from the burdens that had weighed me down. I looked at my hands, and though they were the same, I felt changed inside. Tears came to my eyes, not of sadness, but of gratitude. I whispered a prayer, thanking God for this gift, for the angel, and for the chance to heal. From that day forward, I knew my faith was renewed. I carried the light in my heart and the angel's whisper in my soul. Though the path ahead might be uncertain, I was no longer afraid. I was ready to live with hope and love, knowing I was never alone. This experience has been the greatest blessing of my life, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is light, there is love, and there is always a way home. The morning after that incredible experience, I woke with a new sense of peace that stayed with me throughout the day. But as time passed, I began to notice subtle changes around me, small, unexpected signs that made me question what was really happening. One of the first things I noticed was the clock in my living room. It had stopped working weeks ago, its hands frozen at exactly 3:15. I had tried everything to fix it, but nothing worked. That morning, however, the clock suddenly began to tick again, soft and steady, as if time itself was starting to move once more in my life. It was a small thing, but it filled me with hope. Later that day, as I was watering my garden, I noticed something else that surprised me. A single rose bush, which had been dormant for months, suddenly blossomed with the most beautiful red flowers. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was as if nature itself was responding to the light I felt inside me. These signs, small as they were, gave me comfort. They told me that the angel's visit was not just a dream or a fleeting moment, but something real and lasting. As the days went by, I found myself more connected to the world around me. The air seemed fresher, the birds' songs sweeter. I felt a quiet strength growing within me, a lightness I hadn't known in years. I began to spend more time praying and reflecting, asking for guidance and understanding. Sometimes I would find myself smiling for no reason, feeling grateful for the simple things I had once taken for granted. The memory of the angel's whisper stayed with me. It was a reminder that I was not alone, even in my loneliest moments. One evening, while sitting by the window, I felt a sudden warmth on my shoulder. I looked around, but no one was there. I realized then that the angel was still watching over me, still near, even when I could not see it. That feeling brought tears to my eyes. It was a reminder that faith is not just about what we see, but what we feel deep inside. I knew I had been given a precious gift, a second chance to live with hope, love, and trust. And I promised myself that I would carry this light forward, sharing it with others who might need it as much as I did. The journey was not over, but I was no longer afraid. I was ready to face whatever came next, knowing I was guided by a love greater than anything I could imagine. Days passed, and the sense of peace I felt after the angel's visit continued to grow stronger. Yet life continued to surprise me in small, unexpected ways. One morning, as I was preparing breakfast, I noticed a gentle fragrance filling the kitchen. It was a sweet, floral scent, delicate and calming. I looked around, but there was no vase of flowers or anything that could explain the smell. It reminded me of the rose bush that had blossomed so suddenly in my garden, and I smiled, feeling that the angel's presence was still with me. That day, I decided to visit the nearby church, a small and humble place I hadn't been to in years. As I entered, the familiar scent of incense and old wood greeted me, bringing a comforting feeling of home. I sat quietly in a pew, letting the silence surround me. I prayed for guidance, asking for strength to understand the message the angel had come to share. While I prayed, I noticed a young woman enter the church. She looked tired and worried, her eyes filled with pain. Without thinking, I reached out to her and offered a gentle smile. She sat beside me, and for a moment, we shared a quiet connection. I felt compelled to speak words of comfort, telling her that she was not alone, that even in the darkest moments, light could be found. She looked at me with surprise, as if my words had reached deep into her heart. That simple encounter reminded me that the angel's message was not only for me, but for everyone. It was a call to kindness, to love, and to hope. After leaving the church, I returned home with a renewed sense of purpose. I began to write letters to friends and neighbors who I knew were struggling. I shared with them the story of the angel's visit, hoping it might bring them comfort as it had brought me. I also started attending church regularly again, finding strength in the community and in prayer. Each night, as I prepared for bed, I felt the angel's presence close to me. The light that had once filled my room was now a quiet warmth in my heart. I knew that the journey of healing and faith was ongoing, but I was no longer afraid to walk the path. The angel had shown me that even in the deepest darkness, there is always a light to guide us home. And as I drifted to sleep each night, I whispered a prayer of gratitude for the gift I had been given, the gift of hope, love, and a second chance. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself changing in ways I never expected. The fear and loneliness that had once filled my heart began to lift, replaced by a quiet strength and renewed faith. I started to notice the small miracles happening all around me. The blooming flowers, the ticking clock, the gentle warmth that seemed to follow me wherever I went. These signs reminded me that the angel's visit was not just a fleeting moment, but a lasting presence in my life. One afternoon, I decided to visit my neighbors, people I had not spoken to in months. I brought with me some homemade cookies and a heart full of kindness. As I knocked on their door, I felt a nervous excitement. When they opened, their faces lit up with surprise and gratitude. We talked for hours, sharing stories and laughter. It felt like a burden had been lifted from all of us, replaced by a sense of community and connection. I realized then that the angel's message was about more than just personal healing. It was about reaching out and bringing light to others. I began volunteering at the local community center, helping with meals and visiting the elderly who often felt forgotten. Each smile I received warmed my heart and reminded me why I had been given this new chance. One day, while helping organize a small gathering, I met a woman who reminded me of myself, quiet, lonely, and unsure of her place in the world. We talked for a long time, and I shared my story with her. I told her about the light, the whisper, and the peace that followed. She listened with tears in her eyes and thanked me for giving her hope. It was then that I understood my mission. The angel had not only come to comfort me, but to guide me to help others find their way. Every day, I felt more connected to the world and to the divine. My prayers became stronger, filled with gratitude and purpose. I knew that even though I had faced darkness, I was never truly alone. The angel's presence was a reminder that love and light are always near, ready to lift us up when we need it most. As I look back on these days, I feel a deep sense of peace. My life has been forever changed, and I am filled with hope for the future. I know that no matter what challenges may come, I will face them with courage and faith. And when I close my eyes each night, I carry with me the comforting whisper of my name, a reminder that I am loved beyond measure. In the quiet moments before sleep, I often find myself reflecting on the journey that brought me here. The light I saw that night, the whisper of my name, the presence that filled my room. These are not just memories. They are gifts that have reshaped my soul. I have learned that faith is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is a gentle voice that calls us back when we feel lost, a quiet hand that holds us steady in the dark. My faith in Jesus has grown deeper because of this experience, not because everything became easy or clear, but because I found strength in the mystery. I don't have all the answers, and I don't pretend to understand why things happen the way they do. But I do know that I am held by a love so vast that it carries me through the hardest nights and the loneliest days. This love is not distant or abstract. It is real and present. It reaches into the smallest corners of my life and fills them with hope. The angel's visit was a reminder that we are never truly alone. Jesus walks beside us, even when we cannot see him, whispering our names with tenderness and care. That whisper is a promise, that no matter our pain or doubt, we are beloved children of God. It is a promise that light will always return after darkness, that grace will find us when we are broken, and that healing is possible for every heart. As I live each day now, I carry this hope quietly but fiercely. I have seen what it means to be touched by the divine, to feel the warmth of heaven in a world that often feels cold. I have learned to trust that even when the path is unclear, I am guided. I am not defined by my past mistakes or losses, but by the love that sustains me. And I want to share that love with others, to be a beacon in the night, just as the angel was for me. I pray that anyone who hears my story will know they too are held, seen, and loved beyond measure. That they can find peace in their struggles and hope in their despair. That faith is not the absence of fear, but the courage to keep walking forward one step at a time. So tonight, as I close my eyes and prepare to rest, I listen for that gentle whisper once more. It reminds me that I am never alone, that I am loved, and that in Jesus there is always light.